in my circle? Who the one who be the snakes? Who gon' fold up under pressure? Who gon' understand the stakes? Who gon' wait to get their food to try to take from off my plate? Who the love? Who gon' understand I'm hurt? Who gon' love me unconditionally and try to make it work? Who gon' party once I'm gone and shed a tear once I'm in dirt? I ain't asking for too much, I'm trying to understand my worth.
Welcome to the next episode of Give Me My Crown podcast.
Give Me My Crown podcast.
And this episode, we're going to kind of talk to y'all about finances. As y'all know, I am a financial coach, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit, and just finances in general. Because I know we've talked about finances a few times, but finances, as we know, continue to change on a daily.
Okay. I'm asking a question.
What's
what
up?
Are the things we're going to talk about in this podcast about finances, though? Like, you know, you got so many hats, so many different roles when it comes to finance. Like, just give them like a quick synopsis of a few things we're going to talk about.
So we're going to go into essentially what is a financial coach, why a lot of people need a financial coach, and what benefits a financial coach has to you. And then from there, we'll kind of branch out maybe a little bit into what's the difference between a financial coach and a financial advisor, and then what you should do in order to get your finances in order and where you want them to be.
Okay. All right. Now, I need you to give people a disclaimer. Anytime we talk about finances, you always give a disclaimer. Go and give it right here.
Neither one of us are financial advisors. As I said, I'm a financial coach, not a financial advisor. Neither one of us are financial advisors, so this is not financial advice. So anything we say, obviously, do your own research before. What we say is not law. So do your own research, and from there, before even if we tell you some of the stuff we invest in, we're telling you what we invest in. We're not telling you what to invest in. We're telling you, hey, this is what we tried. This is what worked for us. This is what didn't work for us. This is what this is something else we tried, or this is what we was told. Just stuff like that. So make sure you do your own research.
Okay. So the first thing I want to know, because I hear it all the time. I mean, I know a little bit, but I hear people say all the time, I don't need a financial coach. Can you tell the people why you need a financial coach?
So a financial coach is important. For one, they hold you accountable. Because even myself, like when I started off, I had a financial coach myself. And I was one of those people. I said, no, I'm good with my finances. I know where my money going. I know what I'm spending my money on. I don't need somebody else to tell me what I am spending my money on, what I don't need to spend my money on. And a financial coach is not necessarily somebody who tells you what you don't need to spend your money on. It's somebody that holds you accountable and make you aware of what you're spending your money on. Because even with my clients, I would never tell my clients not to spend money on something. Like, don't call me and ask me, can you purchase something? It's your money. I'm just in the front. I'm going to help you create a plan to hopefully one day you don't have to pay me to help you. You are I'm teaching you ways to help yourself.
Okay. So, like, do you do like the 50-30-20 rule? Does that go into financial coaching, or?
It depends because everybody's situation is different. So my first thing when I first start off with everybody, I try to go by Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps,
Okay.
at least starting off. And the reason I say starting off, because I think starting off on your financial journey, one of the most important things is to first get out of debt. Because if you're in debt, it's hard to continue to build a legacy and continue to build wealth while you're still in debt.
Okay.
And so those the 7 financial steps are: save up $1,000 for an emergency fund. And we know now $1,000 is not enough for an emergency fund, but that's at least a starting point. So you want to start right there, save up $1,000. The next thing you want to do is pay off all your debt. So once you save up that $1,000, you then work on paying off all your debt. And the method I use that has worked in the past for me and works for other people that I have helped out is the snowball. Is a snowball method. And essentially what that is say you have 3 credit cards. So you have one that's 1,000, one that's 500, one that's 200. You work on paying the smallest one off first, then you work on paying the second one off, then you work on paying the third one off. And the way it works is whatever you were paying to that first one once you finish paying that one off completely, everything that you were paying to that one, you then put it towards. So if you were paying $100 a month, you then take that $100 a month and put it towards the one that's 500.
Okay.
And so now, say you were already paying $100 a month towards the 500. Now you're paying $200 a month, and then you take that money next when you finish paying the 500 off, move it up to the 1,000, and so it's like a snowball effect. So and the reason I think that one's good is because what it does, it frees up your credit. So if you have a credit card or any type of credit, what a lot of banks want to see, a lot of creditors want to see is that you're using or you're staying under 30% of that. So if you got the smallest one and you pay it off and it's got a zero balance, it shows zero utilization towards 100% of your credit.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way I do it. Like I said, a lot of people do it that way, just because, like I said, it frees up that credit utilization. Then after that, you want to save up 3 to 6 months of for an emergency fund. That's 3 to 6 months of your household bills. So if your household bills come up to $5,000 a month, you want to try to save up anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000, and that's more realistic than the $1,000, because if something major happens, if somebody loses a job, or if somebody gets hurt on a job and you don't have good insurance or something like that, then that could put you in a downspin. So knowing that you have that emergency fund set aside, kind of you're still hurting at one point, but it kind of eases your mind a little bit. And then after that comes essentially the investing part.
Okay. So first, let me backtrack a little bit.
All right.
Can everybody be helped? Because sometimes people feel like they're hopeless.
Everybody can be helped.
Okay.
Now there may be some times where, because if you're living beyond your means, it is very hard. Okay. But it can be done, because a lot of times when you have a financial coach, like I said, they're able to help you realize like what you're spending your money on, because a lot of people spend their money on some crazy stuff. And when I say crazy, I'm not talking about like far left, wild, just crazy stuff. I'm talking about like if you're eating out every day, even if you're spending $6-7 a day per meal, that's 3 meals a day at $7. That's $21 a day. In a week, that's over $100 in a week. But then that starts to add up when you're spending that $100 eating out, but then you're also buying groceries. So now you're double spending. So now if you're eating out and buying groceries, some of the groceries you're buying are now no good. So that money is going in the trash. So then it's almost like a revolving door. So you're throwing that money in the trash. You're throwing the money the food you bought, you're throwing that in the trash because it's no good. Then if you're hungry at one point, then you're forced to buy food if you're throwing all the no good food away. And then next week you're going grocery shopping again, and it's like a revolving door.
So essentially, you're just throwing money in trash.
Essentially, yes. And we were real bad at that at one point. I was horrible at that. I was going to buy food, and instead of cooking or whatever, we then go out to eat. So the food we bought is now going to waste, and we're double spending because we had a budget for food. We didn't necessarily set a budget aside for eating out. So then that money is just going to waste.
Is there a certain percentage of their debt you want to see come down before they start investing, or do you as a financial coach, you have a certain like?
It kind of depends. It kind of depends on their income.
Okay.
Because if you're because it's different with everybody. So because some people will tell you, hey, I want to start paying down my debt, but I also want to invest at the same time. So kind of what they want is kind of what you gravitate to. I kind of give people my opinion of what I think should happen, but essentially they're the client. So I'm going to whatever route they want to go is kind of how I'm going to set their plan up, because everybody's plan is going to be different.
Okay, so question. You say you set it up on how they want to do it.
Yes.
I'm hypothetical. Let's say I say, look, I got $10,000 worth of debt.
Uh-huh.
But I want my investments to be 80% of why I bring you on board. Can you can you work with that? Like, I'm gonna use 20% of my income to pay my debt, and the other 80 I want to invest. I mean,
So
sounds
that's
so
kind of hard. That's kind of
okay.
hard because I'm not an advisor. I'm a coach.
Okay, so
So
I'm good.
I can't tell you what to invest in. If you make $10,000 a month, you come to me and say, I want to invest $8,000. Your take home is 10,000. You say, I want to invest 8,000 of this. At that point, I think you have your problems are a lot worse than knowing how to spend your money.
Okay, gotcha.
Because at that point, it almost seems if you can afford if you got $10,000, if you bring home $10,000 a month, you can afford to invest 8,000, but your debt is only 10,000, and you say, "Hey, I want to invest this money instead of paying off this debt real quick," because you can pay off the debt in 2 months.
Yeah.
So if you say that, then your priorities are all mixed up at that point.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is I know you work with some people sometimes that give you some extreme situations. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I want you to, in other words, do a scenario that people see how the conversation goes a little bit. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
think.
so yeah, because when they first come to me, I'm going to first ask them what their goals are.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, hey, what are your goals? Some people want to save money to buy a house. Some people want to save money to invest. Some people just want to save money. Some people want to pay down debt. So I'm going to say, hey, what is your goal? So once they tell me what their goals are, I'm then gonna sit down, go over their finances, go over their bills, lay out their bills. What I do is I take every bill they're paying, so every monthly bill, every monthly expense that they have. So I'm taking mortgage or rent, electricity, car payment, gas you're putting in your car, um, what else? Phone bill, any other monthly expenses that you have, food, and then also I will always take out extra for miscellaneous. And it
Okay.
depends on how much you work, how much you work depends on how much I allocate to miscellaneous. So then once I do that, I'll then take the amount of money that you make, and then I'll subtract the two, obviously, and then I'll say, hey, well, this is how much you have left over every month. And with that, what I'll do with the money they have left over, I will then, if they have a lot of debt, I'll then start allocating that money to certain bills or to certain debts, so certain credit cards. So I'll say, hey, you should pay this amount to this one, this amount to this one, this amount to this one, because you always at least want to pay the minimum. But like I said, with the snowball, you always want to pay the minimum on all of them. But with the snowball, any extra money that you can afford to put towards that lowest one, and then kind of keep going up the chain like that. And then once you get there, then we can if you say, hey, I got this, but I still want to invest some, then whatever money you have left over after we allocate to your debt, a good amount to your debt, then whatever else is over here, I can then direct you to a financial advisor and say, okay, come talk to this person, and then and they'll help you figure out what to do with this money or what to invest in.
Okay. How much transparency is needed from the client in this whole scenario?
A
Because
lot.
because reason why
'Cause-
I'm asking. Okay, let's say for instance we talking. I tell you I make $2,000 a week, right?
yeah.
And then we going through this process, and then all of a sudden I say I really only make $1,300 a week.
So that's hard because I'm basing your I'm basing your budget off of what you tell me you make. Because obviously everybody don't want to show you their bank statements. Everybody don't want to show you their check stubs. And if you don't want to show that, like, I'm completely fine. If you just want to tell me what it is, like, I'm completely fine with that. If I see bank statements, if I see check stubs, because even when I had my first financial coach, I sent him all my bank statements,
Yeah,
and he was able to break it down to me. And I think it was 1 month because a lot of stuff you don't realize that you're doing.
yeah.
So he literally went through my bank statements and he created columns for every kind of expense I made. And in 1 month, I spent like $1,200 eating out. And it didn't even seem like that much because if I'm spending $20, $30 here, $20, $30 there over the course of the month, that adds up. So that helps when you either show that or you're upfront about what you're spending your money on, because then, like I said, I can create a true budget, because I can't create a true budget. Like you said, if you tell me you make $2,000 a month, I'm basing, that's a $700 difference. So that $700 could be going towards debt somewhere. So then when your credit cards are getting further in debt, and I'm like, hey, I thought we had a good plan. This is what we said that you could pay. And then you're like, well, I don't really make this much. So now I got to go back and redo the budget, which is not a problem, but you got to go back and redo the budget and kind of reallocate everything.
Okay.
So it was definitely important for transparency.
Is the budget based off of just straight salary, or do you factor in overtime at all in that?
It depends on the person. If they want to factor in overtime, I will.
Okay.
If it's a constant overtime, then a lot of people do factor it in. For me, what I do, and like if I get extra income, I don't factor my extra income into my budget. The reason I don't do that is because for me personally, my extra income, I use it to invest.
Yeah.
So if I work off duty, if I sell a house, whatever, I use any extra income I have to invest. If I got a bill that needs to be caught up or whatever, I'll use it for that first. But other than that, I'll use that to invest or use it for trips or whatever.
Okay. Is there a certain point of you being a financial coach that you say, okay, I want to invest? Do you hand them off to a financial advisor? It's like, look, me being your financial coach, I think now it's time for you to start working with a financial advisor to set you up a different place in life.
Yes, because I can still help you from the coaching standpoint. Yeah. I can still help with that, and I can say, hey, because realistically, your budget should and probably will change every single month. Okay. They're not by much because you're still having them same expenses, but some months you may spend more in gas, some months you may spend more in food, some months you may spend less. If you go on vacation, obviously that kind of factors in. So it will at some point. I will say, hey, this is how much money you have left over. Talk to a financial advisor, figure out where to put this money. Okay. And I am also working on getting my annuities license, so I can help invest in some of that, in a portion of that stuff. So because there's you can invest in the stock market, you can invest in cryptocurrency, bonds, you can buy silver, you can buy gold. Like, there's tons of things to invest in. It's just essentially why are you investing? What's your outcome for investing? And what are you looking to get? Like, are you looking for short-term investing? Are you looking for long-term investing? Are you looking for a riskier investment, but that's very volatile, but has huge upside? Are you looking for something that's very, very safe? So all of that kind of plays into one. Okay.
So I think the next question would be, if you hand them off to a financial advisor, do they continue to stick with you, or do they kind of like just phase out on their own?
It kind of depends, because obviously my goal is to get people to phase out on their own. Because obviously if you're coming to me and you're paying me, obviously that's a paying customer. But my goal is to not continue to make money from you. My goal is to change your mindset and to teach you how to run your own budget, teach you how to create your own budget, teach you how to manage your own money, give you that financial literacy that you need. So then you can branch off and able to do this on your own. And at that point, maybe you help somebody else. Okay. So my goal is to get you off of my plan and create your own and start working on your own so you don't need that help.
So I know you're a financial coach, you get paid for it. But what it sounds like to me is it's more about helping people than it is about just making money.
Correct. Yeah, because at the end of the day, teaching financial literacy is my goal. Yeah. Because obviously we didn't learn about it in school coming up. We now to learn about it, you got to teach yourself essentially. So that my goal is to teach people the financial literacy that we never learned. And the reason, because a lot of people say, hey, well, why don't you do it for free and all that? Because it takes time, it takes money, because it takes a lot of time to create a budget. Like creating a budget from scratch is not easy. So it takes a lot of time, and then even the learning and getting the knowledge of how to do all this stuff takes time and money.
And I'm gonna ask this question. It may be funny to us, but it's a question.
Yeah.
Average day, how much do you think you talk about finance?
Shoot, a lot.
That's why I'm like you talking about. It takes a lot of time, but like I feel like we talk about it so much. Sometimes it can become second nature versus
Yeah. Yeah, and it does, because even when I'm at work now and I'm talking to somebody and we start talking about finances, sometimes I'll go into a whole rant about finances or whatever, and then we've been sitting here talking for 2 hours about finances.
Yeah, because
So
I remember a day we were sitting State 48 and talking about finances, and it's like some people draw back with finances.
yes,
And it's kind of like you might be the quietest person in the room. We all sitting there, and it's like, yo, I can't come up with this. Who can? I can. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
All of this stuff is what gets a person there. That's why
yes,
I'm asking those questions.
yeah. Because if we all got a common goal in mind, say we say, hey, we want to invest in this, or we want to start a business, and you say, I don't have that right now, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can help you get there.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I can't get there, or it's impossible for me. Like, no, it's not. You think it's impossible. It's not. It can be done.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to. You have to know how to do it. You have to have the. You got to have the knowledge to do it. You got to have the willpower to want to do it. So it can be done.
Willpower.
Yes.
Willpower, right? Can you tell the people what all you do? It takes a lot of willpower. You're laughing, but it takes a lot of willpower to be as dedicated to have all the credentials you have.
So obviously, my regular job, I'm in law enforcement. I sell real estate. I'm a real estate agent, certified financial coach, also a licensed life insurance agent. And the reason I got all three of those, because I think those are the pillars to wealth. So essentially, you have real estate. Obviously, real estate is ownership.
Yep.
It is said people who own real estate, or people who own a home versus rent, is 40 times more likely to create more wealth and generational wealth for their family than somebody who rents.
Correct.
Also, with life insurance, a lot of our community does not have life insurance, and a lot of people think it's a scam because it's life insurance. But life insurance, obviously, if something happens, you want your family to be able to live on and not have to change much, because if something happens to you, because obviously if something happens to you, they're going to deal with that emotionally. You don't want them dealing with that also on the financially.
Yeah.
So it is obviously different types of life insurance, because you got term life insurance, which is for a certain term, and it's usually cheaper. You can get a higher amount for cheaper monthly costs. But then you have whole term and IUL, which is a lower amount for more money, but there's other benefits to that also. So there's benefits as far as making as essentially creating your own bank or being your own bank, and things like that. And there are risks with everything. So
Let me say this. Now letting people know I'm smiling because I watched the conversation between him and what I would say is a scammer. Try to tell him he did not know what he was talking about. Like IUL, I got this new policy, this other policy that has no risk.
Yes, they essentially said it has zero. If somebody comes to you with an investment and they say zero risk, that is 100% a red flag, because even there's risk with everything. Even probably the safest thing is a savings account at your bank. There's risk with that, because as we see, the banks that crashed last year, people lost their money.
Yep.
Even if you have cash in your house in the safe. There's risk with that. If your house burn up, that's gone.
Yeah.
So there's risk with everything you do. You just got to decide whether are you willing to take a higher risk or not, and are you willing to, and if you're willing to take that risk, how much of a risk are you willing to take? Because like I said, there's risk with everything. Because you can put your money in the savings account and it's going to sit there and grow 0.002% interest, or you can go put it in the stock market, or you can put it in the S&P 500, which has grown an average of 10%, but you run the risk of losing that money.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason stock market crashes. But then in the savings account, more likely it's not going to crash. But if you put $1,000 in there today, in 10 years you might have $1,010.
Yep. Yeah. True.
So is you got to make calculated risk. Back to what I was saying, I think real estate and life insurance are the two pillars to creating that generational wealth, because you don't, and with life insurance, especially term, like I said, because you get more for a cheaper amount. The general rule of thumb to that is you want to have 10 times your yearly income. So if your yearly income is $100,000, get $1 million life insurance policy. And $1 million life, and a lot of people hear $1 million and they think, oh man, that's crazy. But if you're not older, if you don't have any serious illnesses, some people could get $1 million life insurance policy for $30, $40 a month.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's definitely worth it, because it takes that burden off of your family if something were to ever happen to you.
I hear people ask about like term life, right? People say that term life is a scam. I don't hear too much about whole life. I hear more about term life. Is there a reason why people think term life is a scam?
I think a lot of times it depends on what type of term life you have. There's multiple different types of term life. So you just got to talk to an agent who's going to explain it to you, and then also read the contract. So even if an agent explains it to you, make sure you read the contract. Make sure that the death benefit will pay out upon death. Make sure there's no other clauses in there or anything in there that says, hey, because there could be some, like say you have to die like this in order to get this life insurance policy.
Okay.
So I say because there's multiple different types of policies. You can get a policy on specifically cancer, but that policy specifically says if you die of cancer, you get paid.
Okay.
And then there's lots that, hey, if you die, like most of them, if there's a suicide clause in there, if within that first 2 years, or some of them is for the term of the policy, you don't get paid if the death is by suicide. Okay. So there's just certain stuff you got to read as you should with any contract, just to make sure there's no certain clauses in there that either you're unsure of, or that you're unsure of, or that you don't know about, because you also want to talk to an agent that's going to give you what's best for you and not what's best for them, because obviously there's some policies come with a higher commission for the agent. So you got to watch out for those agents too. Are they looking to get a higher commission, or are they doing what's best for me?
Okay. Man, you're still about the people, man. All I hear is you being about the people, man.
But
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think a lot of it comes down to like when we're talking about finances in general, a lot of it comes down to your why. Like you have to have a why as to why you're like why do you want to be financially stable? Why do you want to create generational wealth? Why are you saving up this money? Why do you want to invest? Like, what's your end goal? And like I said, end goal could just be generational wealth. If it's generational wealth, you have to then know what generational wealth is. And in order to keep that legacy going, you have to then teach your kids generational wealth. Because watch the guy on YouTube today, and what he said made perfect sense. He said, instead of kicking our kids out when they turn 18, say we got a family business. Yeah. Instead of kicking our kids out when they turn 18, let's teach them the family business. Let's help them go to school, learn the skills to learn the family business, pass the family business on to them. Once we pass the family business on to them, whenever something happens to us or we retire, they can then run the family business.
Yeah.
Because I think we're so quick to kick our kids to the curb, like once they turn 18, that we're not investing in them. Because if we invest in them, that continues to drive our legacy. Because if we're not teaching them what we know and we're just kicking them out at 18, then we're essentially killing the next generation.
Is that a cultural thing or is that a everybody thing?
I think that's a cultural thing.
Because I think I talked to you about this, and might have been some other people. A guy told me what he did was his kids went to college, and then when they graduated college, they moved back in with him. They had jobs, making good money, but they paid him essentially rent for living there.
Yeah,
like $250 a month.
Yeah,
He kept the $250. Once they bought their home, he gave them all of the money back. So they got a home. They paid for it. They went through the whole process themselves. And
yeah.
all the money they paid him in rent, it was like, this is your housewarming gift.
See, that's a good way to do it, because, like I said, if we kick our kids out at the age of 18, we're, like I said, we're killing that generational wealth.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, you always, like, obviously you want your kids to do, like, if they're doing nothing or causing issues, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if they're, because I've always told my kids, if both my kids want to go to college because they both want to be doctors. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to kick them out. If they want to stay at home and then focus on school, then I'm going to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
If one day they decide, hey, I don't want to go to school, I want to work in the family business, I'm going to teach them the family business. Or if they say, I want to start my own business, I'm going to assist them in starting their own business. I'm going to teach them how to start their own business. If I got to front some money and they're actually serious, I'll front the money if I have to, if they got that mindset. But if they're just sitting around doing nothing, then we're going to have a different conversation. But as long as they're pushing towards a goal, then I'm always gonna be there to push them and support them. And I think that's important.
I just hearing you talk, right? So I'm thinking about through the history of you, because we're talking about finances.
Yeah.
Your doors have always been open to the people around you. Like, hey, you want to move down here, get a job? Like, okay, you can move, you can stay here for a while, and you have to help out a little bit. But my doors are open to you. So your doors have always been open to everybody.
Yes. And I like I said, I think it's important. Because I even teach them the importance of finances. I teach them because they get allowance every week, and one of them wants to spend their allowance every single week. So I'll tell them, and I still want to go to Walmart. I still want to go to Target. Let's go. When your sister is saving up her money and now she can buy a big toy, but you're sitting here buying these smaller toys, then you'll understand. So now she understands. So now she saves up her money every single month, and she'll go shopping once a month. So then she knows now she has a bigger amount to spend. So every Friday when it's allowance day, hey, is today allowance day? Yeah. How many times is that? I'd be like, it's 3. As soon as I say 4, she'd be like, oh, cool. It's 4 times. I got enough money now. Let's go shopping.
Man, tell her call me and tell her call her uncle, and we're going to look out for her. Stop doing it like that, Tonyo.
Got to teach them at an early age.
You know, that Amazon man, drop it off at the house. But, okay, we talked about the life insurance. We talked about the real estate. Are there other key ways you see to create generational wealth that's not like an anomaly, but it's like a proven system?
I mean, family businesses can create generational wealth, but because like no matter whatever kind of business it is, if you pass it down to your kid, if you teach them to run it and pass it down to your kids, that can always that business can always live on.
Okay.
And not everybody is entrepreneurs. So some people just want to work. Some people want a career. Like some people work in corporate. Some people do whatever, and they just want that career. I think even passing that work ethic down to your kids helps them out in the long run too. And a lot of times it's not about what you. I know we hear the cliche. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know, and that is 100%. I believe in that 100%.
Yep.
Because who you know will get you further sometimes than what you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's important that teaching your kids to like I said, have that work ethic. But then if it's somebody that I know that can help my kids, I'm going to connect them. So for my kids, like I said, they both want to be doctors. Every time they go to a doctor's appointment, I think my oldest was probably 3 years old. When we went to when we first started this, went to the doctor, and we told her doctor, like, hey, she wants to be a doctor. And so her doctor will sit there and talk to her even after the appointment. Her doctor sometimes sit there and talk to her 15, 20 minutes about what it takes to be a doctor, how long you got to go to school. She'll sit there and answer their questions, stuff like that. And every time we go to the doctor now, it's that same thing. So we'll go back, hey, do you still want to be a doctor? Yes. Okay, cool. You got to do this in school. You got to do this in school. You got to do this. You got to pay attention, really pay attention to these subjects. So I think kind of teaching them that work ethic and teaching them how to talk to people, it helps because you're you just by you talking to people, I think get you a lot further sometimes than even a degree.
Yeah, it does.
Because exactly. Because you can have all the degrees in the world, but if you don't know how to talk to people, don't know how to communicate, you're not gonna get too far.
That's true. Question: is it easier? Because I know one thing we talked about that you do is mentor, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's easier from a financial standpoint, to catch kids early, mentoring them, than it is to help correct an adult going through financial troubles?
Yes, because you are with a kid you're teaching, with an adult you're correcting.
Okay.
So it's easier to teach somebody to do something than it is to correct them to do something. It's kind of like with shooting. So if somebody's learning how to shoot, it's easier to teach them how to shoot than to if somebody has been shooting for some years but they've been doing it completely wrong. It's easier to teach somebody brand new how to shoot than to break those old habits, because muscle memory sets in and you're used to doing it a certain way. So you're gonna, even if somebody teaches, you're gonna want to keep doing it that certain way rather than do it the right way. So I do think it's easier to catch at an early age, like I said, to teach rather than correct.
Okay. All right. I think we gave the people enough. We might have to revisit this again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we can definitely revisit it. Like I said, because we could talk about this all day long, literally.
Yeah, we definitely will next weekend. But yeah, of course.
But definitely, like I said, drop, like we always tell y'all, drop some comments, drop some questions. If y'all want to jump on, give your input, we can get y'all on here live. Yeah. So definitely let us know. Like I said, we're pretty open to if another topic y'all want to hear about, or one of these topics y'all want to go deeper into, let us know.
I agree, man.
Yeah, definitely. And as we always tell y'all before we get off every podcast, this is more than a podcast. We handing out crowns.
Hand them out.
Who the lover, who the hate? Who the realest in my circle? Who the one who be the snakes? Who gon' fold up under pressure? Who gon' understand the stakes? Who gon' wait to get they food to try to take from off my plate? Who the love? Who gon' understand I'm hurt? Who gon' love me unconditionally and try and make it work? Who gon' party once I'm gone and shed a tear once I'm in dirt? I ain't asking for too much, I'm trying to understand my worth.